Do you lose as gracefully as you win?
I wouldn't know. I've never lost.
Insert Moonraker callback here. Hi, I'm Kevin from the SDP, and this is the 007 Diamond Jubilee. Previously on the 007 Diamond Jubilee, there was Thunderball, in which Kevin McClory sued Ian Fleming over who created the scenario. As a result of the lawsuit, McClory eventually took back the rights to the plot and its new characters, including the Spectra organization, which is why the official universe has avoided bringing it up whenever possible. McClory was also given the rights to make a James Bond movie of his own, however it had to be a remake of the story he helped create. And thus we get Never Say Never Again, or as I like to call it, 80s Thunderball.
I hope we're going to have some gratuitous sex and violence.
I certainly hope so too.
But it's not all bad. Sean Connery comes back for one more encore. And this isn't just some attempt by the studios to compete with the Eon-produced Octopussy, although they very well may have capitalized on it. Nope, Connery had been working with Kevin McClory on this remake of Thunderball for almost a decade before it came out. As for the results, nothing to write home about. Sir Sean's performance seems to have been sedated by old age, as he was 52 when the movie began filming in 1982. Not that post-middle-age actors can't bring the heat. Heck, Chuck Norris broke 60 during his run on Walker, Texas Ranger. But yeah, no such magic here. And I can't blame him. The world Sean Connery steps back into is unfamiliar indeed. M has relegated the 00 section to leading training exercises, Q has suffered budget cuts and is thinking about defecting to the CIA, and Moneypenny is Moneypenny. Then in Nassau, the British Embassy bestows upon him the assistance of Nigel Smallfawcett, played by Rowan Atkinson in his first feature film role, if you can believe it. The man would move on to the surreal comedy of Mr. Bean, and it shows. His current role as a bumbling contact could have been much more annoying if he had more screen time, so crisis averted, I guess. Emilio Largo's counterpart is Maximilian Largo, the #1 officer of Spectra. So wait, does Blofeld serve under him now? Okay, not technically, but Largo is still the engineer of their nuclear operation. He may have traded in his eye patch for an even thicker accent. I don't know, almost like Dracula?
Yeah, maybe. I'm crazy.
But if there's anything he has over the Largo from Thunderball, it's that he develops his relationship with Domino Patacci better this time around. Domino is once again Largo's mistress and the sister of US Air Force pilot Jack Patacci. You may recall I called her Thunderball counterpart, Domino Duval, one of the most sympathetic Bond girls, but while Miss Patacci shares her situation, her performance this time around is... I don't know how to say it... Basinger? No, Basinger. I looked it up. No, seriously. Her performance was less with it, but it's not all bad considering what I said about the villain. She shares Bond's gadgets with Fatima Blush, an assassin and the #12 officer of Spectra. Her fashion sense is insane, even by 1980 standards, but her femdom performance is one of the best examples of camp this movie has to offer, which is saying something.
Guess where you got the first one.
Speaking of gadgets, Bond gets a fountain pen that shoots explosive darts, a motorcycle with rocket jets, a laser watch, predating GoldenEye by 12 years, and...
This bomb has a tiny gyroscope inside. Any lateral movement on your part, and you could be served in an egg cup.
I won't spoil how the scene ends, but trust me, it's inspired. Oh, and remember the Baccarat scene from Thunderball where Bond matchwits with Largo? Yeah, in this movie, it's replaced by a video game. Not something I'd associate with the adult establishment with which 007 identifies. Although I will give it credit for pioneering rumble technology 14 years before the Nintendo 64. You may have noticed something different about the intro to this video. Normally I integrate the gun barrel scene into my intros, but this movie lacks one. Instead of having dedicated credits and pre-credit sequences, the opening puts the credits on top of 007 in a training mission. However, it does have its own theme song performed by Lonnie Hall. Like the first few theme songs, it's another female solo performance trying and failing to emulate Shirley Bassey's first efforts, but thanks to its co-producers Sergio Mendes and Herb Alpert, it gets adapted into some quality lounge music at points throughout the film. I do have to give a wag of the finger to the rest of the film's score. See, since they were unable to use the classic Monty Norman theme, they brought on composer Michel Legrand. And if they don't have the case of the Monty Norman theme, I don't expect that to show up, but neither do I expect musical cues reminiscent of a Chuck Jones cartoon. Again, not exactly the image you want to go for when 007 is involved. I'm assuming you've learned your lesson by now, so I'll say it again. This is Thunderball for the 1980s. In fact, I'd like to call this the most embarrassingly 80s out of all the James Bond films. Heck, when you replace a round of Baccarat with a video game, there's no way you can bounce back from that. Which is a shame because it copied a lot of the good from Thunderball as well, including the plot and plight of our heroine. And yet, considering that it's not part of the true Bond canon, it's still not a total loss by any means. In fact, unlike the other non-Eon entry, which I skipped over, it follows the Bond formula closely enough, for an enforced reason, that I decided to put it in as part of my 007 Golden Jubilee. Now that it's in the books, Never Say Never Again scores 70%, a C+.
Never again.
Never?